Yes, everyone, my name is Stephen Howson, and this is 5 things that we learned getting dicked away at Newcastle this weekend. Number 5, go behind, stay behind. Now, Manchester United was always famous for that fight back, that desire, that team spirit, that ability to take a goal down and have the opposition absolutely shitting themselves for the Alamo that was about to hit them, the storm that was coming, the inevitability that Manchester United would throw everything, including the kitchen sink at you, trying to get a goal. Not only would they get a goal, but they'd probably get a winner as well. Now that seems to have gone. This season we look at West Ham, we look at Newcastle, you can even go back to the Cardiff and Everton. Oh my God, that Everton game. Oh my God. And Manchester United currently are going behind and getting nilled. We are not coming back. We do not have that fight. Now, does that stem from team spirit? Does that stem from quality? Does that stem from lack of belief? I think it's a little bit of a case of all three and probably a few other factors in there as well. But at the moment, when Manchester United concede, there isn't a leader. There isn't someone who gets a grip of everyone and goes, we score next and we score in the next 5 minutes. It just seems to be like, well, we'll lump it forward to one matter and hopefully that'll get us a goal. And we'll bring on Mason Greenwood and maybe we can rely on a 17, 18-year-old to save us and score a goal for us. But how is this the strategy of one of the biggest clubs in the world? Mason shouldn't be coming on with that amount of pressure on his shoulders. Mason should be coming on, not quite the way Phil Foden is at Manchester City, you're like, never. But he should be coming on when the game isn't being chased. He should come on when the game is maybe 1-0 up, see it out a little bit, maybe 2-0 up if that ever happened. These are the opportunities that Mason should be getting, and he's drafted into the team in the correct way. Not going, well, best of luck, kid, hopefully you can get us the winner, or I don't know what we're going to do. Number 4, no quality in the supporting cast. Now, this was a thin squad. We looked at that squad, and I said at the start of the season, I felt like we had 9 out of an 11, and you might even be able to say 8 out of an 11 realistic, but I thought 9 out of an 11. I wasn't happy with any 11 that we could put out. I was like, we're probably 2 players short, and maybe 3, and some have argued even 5, to be honest, and who am I to argue with you at the moment? But when you lose Paul Pogba and you lose Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka and Anthony Martial, this threadbare squad becomes embarrassing. And that's what's happened at the moment. We've thrown in the likes of Andreas Pereira, who aren't ready. And they've had a lot of chances and have had loans out. When you look at some of the kids that are out there at Chelsea and they've had a couple of loans, very similar to what Andreas Pereira's had, and they've come back into the league, you're seeing players that have developed a sense of maturity, a sense of decision-making. And even though Andreas Pereira's got one of the best touches, one of the best crosses, and an excellent shot from outside the box, his decision-making is that of a fucking 4-year-old, which means that you're not seeing quality from Andreas Pereira, and he plays for himself. And I also have to question, these knocks that Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial have got, are they knocks? Or have they shit themselves and not want to show the stomach for the fight? Because that's what I've got to question. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. They don't fucking hide and, no, I need a little bit more time off. Marcus Rashford's getting crucified for his performances at the moment, but he's turning up week in, week out, injured and putting in a shift. Can't question that guy's character. But can you question the character of other people? We're still bringing in Ashley Young, which is an absolute tragedy at this time of the season. Now, Axel Tuanzebe is coming in, he's putting in some pretty good performances and he's developing into a sort of player that I'm really enjoying watching. But he isn't ready to be the new Rio Ferdinand for Manchester United. He's a couple of years, if he might never get there, but he's at least a couple of years away from being a first-choice centre-half that demands respect. He's a player at the moment that is improving week in, week out and putting in some impressive performances. But you can't just go, there's your man. And this is the issue. Like, yes, we wanted to see the youth, and there was 8 academy players involved in yesterday's matchday squad, which is fantastic. But none of us just want academy players thrown in for the sake of it. We want academy players that are worth the place. And we want academy players complemented with some world-class talent from around the world. Wan-Bissaka and Maguire have been excellent buys. But let's link them in. Can you imagine we had an Eriksen in midfield and a Maddison and maybe another striker that we could rely on up front? Then these youngsters are coming in, they're enjoying their football and they're looking good. The supporting cast is nowhere near good enough. And I do question the character of some of those that have gone hiding. Tuanzebe. Now, I know I sort of touched on it then in the last little section, but Axel Tuanzebe has been one of the few shining lights, and yesterday in particular. One of the things that I had, and I don't think I'm on my own, had reservations with Axel Tuanzebe was his aerial ability. In terms of his positioning defensively, I got no issues. In terms of his heart, no issues. His pace and physicality, definitely no issues. What an attribute he's got with both of those things. But I'd never seen him come out and claim a ball. I'd never seen him attack a ball in the air. And those are things that I really thought Axel Tuanzebe could have done with improving in his game as a defender, as a top-level centre-half. Now, yesterday we saw him go head-to-head with Andy Carroll, and even though he didn't win every single header, I thought he's shown himself to be quite capable in the air against someone who's renowned to be very, very difficult for centre-halves to play against. So I think that was a big plus in the column there for Axel Tuanzebe. Now, the mistake aside at Arsenal, I don't really put that on him too much. I think that's one he's got to learn from. But the game that he played against Arsenal, the game that he played against Newcastle, very encouraging performances. I want to see a lot more of Axel Tuanzebe this season. Number 2, academy products are still featuring. Like I said a second ago, 8 academy products featured in the side. And I think one that deserves a special shout out is one that didn't actually make the pitch at all yesterday against Newcastle, and that is Brandon Williams. 10, 13 days ago, something like that, he made his debut in the Cup and he played half a game. The week later, he comes in, he plays a full 90 minutes. This weekend, he's on the bench. Now that, at least we can give credit to him, certainly, and credit to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for progressing this young man into the first team. He hasn't been rushed in. He hasn't been dropped in and gone, sink or swim, son. Best of luck. His performances deserve the position that the kid's finding himself in. And as I've been saying for a long time, probably 6 months or more, there's no way that Brandon Williams and Ethan Laird, let's not forget about him, are worse than Ashley Young in training. And I think you lot are all starting to see that now, because the lads are getting themselves into position to be given an opportunity. Jimmy Garner needs to be the next one. With what's going on in our midfield, there cannot be any more excuses to not feature him. So let's see it. But number 1, and I'd like to end this on a positive, but we're not doing. Reluctance to change. In my pre-match preview for the Newcastle game, I said it's time for a change. The change I wanted to see was a simple one. 4-2-3-1 changed into a 4-3-3. It's basically just moving one midfielder. Moving it as, instead of having 2 number 6s and a number 10, having 1 number 6 and 2 number 8s. 2 players either side of the pitch, pushed about 10-15 metres further forward, giving more options. One thing I saw during the Newcastle game was Axel Tuanzebe, who's very comfortable on the ball, and Harry Maguire, who's also very comfortable on the ball, driving out from defence, which is something that we mentioned at the start of the season that we wanted to see. They come into midfield, they create an overlap, they force the opposition midfield to do something, and this is how you find gaps, because I'm marking Paul Pogba, I'm marking Scott McTominay, Maguire comes driving out, I'm going to have to deal with him, or you're going to have to deal with him, and then we lose our man. That was what I wanted to see, United creating forced overlaps. But that isn't what we saw. Because we play a 2-man midfield, those 2 6s are sitting deep. Yesterday, Axel and Harry Maguire was picking the ball up and driving past those 2 midfielders. Nobody bothered marking them because they knew that if they get the ball, well, we'll just stand here and just wait. To enact change, United have to make change. We have to have a different setup in midfield to give ourselves more options. United's chance creation at the moment is absolutely abysmal. And the strikers are on the receiving end of it because they're the ones that are paid the big bucks to put the ball in the back of the net. But if they're not getting the opportunities, then they will not create chances. Graham Souness said something really interesting about Mason Mount, which is you play with him, you're going to get chances because he creates chances. There's no one in the United team at the moment, Paul Pogba aside, and he ain't even in the team, that is creating chances that make it easy for our strikers. Where's the scruffy goals? Where's the constant chance after chance after chance after chance? It's just not good enough for Manchester United. And I don't think Ole's totally blameless. I don't think all of this can be put onto his shoulders, even though he is the one that's ultimately going to carry the can for the Glazers' mistakes in how the club has run. But some things are on his shoulders. And for me, not changing the formation, not trying something new, because we've seen this 4-2-3-1 all season now, and it's very clear that it hasn't worked and it isn't creating enough chances for us. That has to change, and that's on Solskjaer for me. Thank you guys for watching. Get your comments in below. What did you learn this weekend? What did you notice? Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.